Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question is, I want to run a scenario past you. As a salesperson, we've been short leads, and I've been riding along with the techs on opportunity calls. So we do a process where the tech diagnoses the system issue while I meet with the customer and I go over replacement options. Customers seem preoccupied, though, by what the tech is doing since they don't know what the diagnosis is yet. Is this the best way to ride along with the tech? We haven't been getting any good results from this yet. It's a great question. And as I was reading this was the picture that was popping up into my head. And I don't know why I was thinking of this, but this was the image that was coming up in my head. I was imagining myself going in for an oil change, right? And so I got my vehicle and I'm pulling into the bay and the door goes up and I'm driving in and I'm pulling all the way up and then there's like a service advisor that is kind of waving me in and then they put their hand up to stop and I get out and they say, "What are you here for?" And I say, "An oil change," right? This is something I scheduled. So an oil change. And I give them the key and they look at the odometer and they say, "Yeah, it'll be about an hour." And there's the waiting room, right? And so that's what I'm picturing as I'm coming in. Now, in addition to that, as they take my keys and I turn to go to the waiting room, now I'm grabbed by a salesperson at the dealership and they grab my arm and they say, "Follow me right up front here. We're going to go take a look at the new Toyota Tacomas." And I'm thinking like, why are you dragging me up to the front of the dealership? Why am I going to the sales side? Like, why am I looking at Toyota Tacomas? Like, I never said I was buying a car. I never said I was even interested in a car. Why am I getting drug up to look at brand new Toyota Tacomas? So it's confusing to me. And it feels like some high pressure sales. I'm being sold something I didn't even show interest in, right? Now, I know at the car dealerships they do have what they call buyback programs, right? And so that is when you go in for an oil change, a lot of times somebody will text you or email you and just say, "Hey, we want to buy your car. Are you interested? Could we do a no commitment trade appraisal here?" Like they do that, but if you say no, they just say, "Okay, well, if you change your mind, let us know. We'd be happy to do it." Right. So they are trying to like turn those into trade-ins and sales. They are doing that. But they're not like grabbing me by the arm and dragging me up there when I haven't shown any interest in it yet, right? And so this process that we've laid out of riding along with the technicians, and then the technician is like downstairs diagnosing the equipment and the salesperson is sitting with them going over replacement options. This this seems even more aggressive than what car dealerships are doing. And so that I guess raises red flags for me. Because think about the customer here in your scenario. It sounds like they called for an issue. Either it's a system check or something's broken or not working right, but they called to have a technician out. And they're expecting a technician to fix it, to diagnose it. And so we haven't even looked at it yet. We haven't even diagnosed to see what's broken. And I got somebody sitting here talking to me about buying a new system. I never said I wanted a new system. I hadn't considered buying a new system. Like, this isn't even a thing. Like, why? Like, yeah, I'm not going to pay very close attention to this until I know what's wrong with the system. Now, if the guy comes back and says, "Yeah, das ist kaputt," like maybe, okay, now let's start talking about replacing the system, but we don't even know that yet. So why would I give this any attention at all? So it sounds a tad aggressive is what I'm saying. If the car dealerships aren't doing it, it's definitely a tad aggressive. So I do think it's a great idea though in the slow season. Like if we're short leads, I do think it's a great idea to ride along with the technicians, right? I think there's a bunch of self-generated strategies we could be doing to try to drive our own leads. Because as a company, we're trying to drive leads, and as salespeople, we can drive our own self-generated leads, and all that helps in the slow season. And one of those strategies is, well, if I got no sales leads to run, I might as well ride along with the technician. And you're going to work with your sales leader. You're going to plan this out with your sales leader, and you're probably going to cherry pick the opportunities, right? Like this one here is the 30-year-old system that we've been there 4 times in the last year, and it's been costly to repair. Like this one's probably going to flip. And we got Joe on it. Joe is our top flipping technician in HVAC here, and so makes a lot of sense to ride along on that one because it's probably going to flip. And time is of the essence. If I can get to those leads the same day, they close at a very high rate. And if I'm getting like a literal hot handoff here, I'm with it, like it's even higher. So I think this is a good strategy to do, but I think there's a slightly different way to do it. So I think there's 2 things you have to set expectations on. So before we go riding along here, I think the first expectation is how do we introduce this to the customer? How do we introduce the second person, the salesperson, to the customer? And I would just be very vague and very to the point, and I would do it just like this. If I'm the technician, I would just say, hey, this is Chris. He's here for training. Is that okay? Like that's it. Like when I get to the front door and I knock on the door and the customer comes to the door, I introduce myself, and then I just turn and point at the other guy and I say, hey, and this is Chris. He's here for training. Is that okay? Because it's true. They are learning. So they're learning the service process. They're learning what a tech does, right? And I'm probably learning a little bit from them. And we don't have to go into like who's training who or what your role is, what your title is, whatever. You just say, hey, this is Chris. He's here for training. Is that okay? Every time customer says, yeah, come on inside. That's it. That's it. Now, the second expectation is we have to set the expectation that this is the text call. That doesn't change. Like if I wasn't there, this would be the text call. And if I am there, it's still the text call. This is their call. They're running the entire process. As a salesperson, you're just there. You're not saying anything. You're not doing anything. You're not bringing in anything. Like don't bring in a clipboard or a notebook don't bring anything. You're just there. And the tech runs the entire call as if you're not even there. The only things you're allowed to say is if there's some dead air and it's quiet. You can say something about the weather. Hot, cold, whatever. Just say something, whatever. Talk about the weather. Okay. Or comment on their nice truck in the driveway, whatever it is. Okay. Those are the only things you're allowed to say though. Nothing in regards to the actual call though. Okay. Because this is the text call. They're running the entire call. And when they run that call, they're going to execute their process and they're going to get to a point where they diagnose it and they present that to the customer. And there's going to be some opportunities to fix it, or maybe it makes sense to replace it at that point. But they're going to diagnose it like a doctor would, right? Like if I went to my doctor and the doctor said, hey, Chris, you got to have surgery. I'm going to say, why? I want to know why, right? They're going to do the same thing. They're going to diagnose it. They're going to say, hey, and maybe we should look at replacing it because whatever diagnosis, whatever trigger, right? And so at that point, if the customer says, yeah, maybe we should look at replacing it, that is where the transition happens. And that's where the technician would then hand it over to the salesperson and they would just turn and say, well, actually, that's what Chris does. Chris, would you have time to give them a quote on a new system right now? So when the customer says yes, that's the opportunity where the technician kicks it over to you. And you're going to go, yeah, let me grab my stuff from the vehicle and we can get started. And that's where the handoff happens. Now you go get your stuff, come back in, you reset expectations for the customer, you lead them through your process. Some of this stuff you might have already because you've been along for the whole time, but there's going to be additional questions that you're going to be asking. And then you execute your process from there. But that's how you ride along with a technician. So don't be trying to sell them something before we've even got it diagnosed. Let the technician run their process, do that hot handoff, and then you take it from there. That's where companies see results when riding along with the technician. It's a great question. That's today's question of the day. If you're enjoying question of the day, follow, share, give a rating. Question of the day is on major streaming platforms. If you have a question, reach out via email. It's going to be listed below in the show description. Let's get your question answered. And you're a Nexstar member, schedule a call with me. Let's get this addressed one-on-one. Let's get very specific to your situation. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.